Hi dear students, welcome back to computer science class. In our previous session we have seen recursion and its examples and comparison between recursion and iteration. Now we are heading to another important topic, built-in functions in Python. And we have seen number of functions in built-in functions in Python in our plus one classes. Now we are seeing some of them and some new functions also. And functions, actually what are functions? Functions are set of statements to perform a particular task or to perform a specific task. And we can categorize functions into three, built-in functions, modules and user-defined functions. And we have almost completed user-defined functions. Now we are heading to built-in functions. Actually what are built-in functions? Built-in functions are predefined functions which are already available in Python, and these built-in functions provide what? Efficiency and structure to a program. And there are a number of functions available in Python standard library which makes the program easier, faster and powerful. Of course, these are always available in Python standard library, and we don't have to import any new module, any new file to be working with built-in functions. And in this class we are looking at some of the built-in functions like type conversion functions like int, float, str, and some other functions like input, eval, minmax, len, type, round, range, some of the functions. Okay, so this is about built-in functions. Built-in functions are predefined functions which are already available in Python, and this gives efficiency and structure to a program. There are a number of built-in functions available in Python which makes the program easier, faster and powerful. Of course, there are a number of functions available and we don't have to import any new module to be working with built-in functions. Now we can look at type conversion functions. Okay, we have already seen these functions in our plus one classes. Anyway, we can look at one more time. First, int. You know what it is? Int. We are looking at type conversion functions, and type conversion functions are functions which are used to convert type. What type? Data type. Okay, so type conversion functions are functions, built-in functions which are used to convert one type to another type. Here we have three functions: int, float and str. Int. What is int? Int stands for integer. So using int function we can convert any value to integer type. Any value can be converted to integer type using the inbuilt built-in function int. We have some statements. First, int 123. We know here 123 is a string and which will be converted to integer type. You can see 123. We are passing a string to integer function. So integer function typecast it to integer type. So 123 is the string input and which will be converted to integer 123. Okay. Then we have a floating value, int of 336.54, and 336.54 is a floating point value which will be converted to integer type using int function. 336 will be the result. Then we have int of minus 34.2. It's also a floating point number, negative number. It will be converted to minus 34. That is, the point part, the decimal part will be chopped off. Okay, will be deleted, eliminated, removed. Okay. Then int of hello. Here we are passing a string. What happens? It's an error because int function cannot convert a string to integer type. But here we can see it's also a string, but it's a number. Okay, but it's a pure string, characters. It cannot be converted to a number. Definitely it cannot be converted to a number. Okay, so these are the examples for statements for int function. Okay, we know int is a built-in function which is a type conversion function that converts any value to integer type. We have seen how it converts a string to integer, a floating point value to integer, a string, a floating point value, both positive and negative, minus. Then hello, a pure string which cannot be converted to an integer type, so it flashes an error. Okay. Then a key point: if you are passing no argument, which returns 0. If you don't have any argument to the function int, it returns 0. Okay. Now we can look at our second function str. You know what str stands for? Str is a function that converts any type to string type. Okay, str stands for string. We have an example, str of 233. Here we know 233 is an integer value, is a numeric value, is a number which will be converted to a string. Here the result, the input is a numeric value, an integer value, and the result is, the output is a string. You can see quotes. Okay, it's a string. So this is how str works. Str is a function that converts any value to string type. Then float. It's another one. We know float is a type conversion function, is a built-in type conversion function that converts any value to floating point value. We have a number of statements here. Float of 26. We know 26 is an integer value, is a numeric value, okay, which will be converted to floating point. Floating point is a type having decimal part, both real part and both integral part and decimal part. Okay, 26.0 will be the result. Float 3.14159, which is a string. It's in quotes, which will be converted to floating point. Okay, that quotes will be removed and it will be resulting as a floating point value. Okay, and if you're not passing anything to float function, what will be the result? Which returns 0.0. As we have seen in the case of int function, when no argument is passed to int function, it returns 0. When no argument is passed to float function, it returns 0.0 because it is having decimal part also. Okay. Then we have some variations, some statements. Float 26, if you are passing a numeric value, an integer value, which gives 26.0, of course. We have already seen it. Then float 33.24. We know 33.25 is an expression. And when we pass an expression to a float function, what actually happens is it will be evaluated and will be converted to floating point value. Okay. So 33.25 is 58 and 58.0 will be the result of float of 33.25. Meaning when we pass an expression in numeric expression, which will be evaluated and converted to floating type. Then float of string, we have already seen when we pass a string 3.14159, which will be converted to a floating. Of course, here the input value is a string value and the output is a floating point value. Then float of 40.6.3 will be an error because here we have two decimal, so it will be it is somewhat against the syntax, so it results in error. Okay, the same way 86.7 minus, you can see one minus sign here, it's also an error. There is no logic in that. Okay, then 35.4 by 7, it's a string, which also results in error. Okay, so these last three statements result in error because it's against the syntax, it is somewhat illogical also. Okay, 40.6.3, it's a wrong statement. 86.7 minus is added at the end, so it's also an error. Then 35.4 by 7 is a string which will not be evaluated. Okay, which also results in error. So these are some of the built-in functions. You know what built-in function is? Built-in functions are predefined functions which are available, which are already defined in Python, and this makes the program efficient and which provides structure to a program. There are a number of functions available which makes the program easier, flexible, faster and powerful, of course, and these are already available in Python standard library, and we don't have to import any special module or file for running built-in functions. And we have int, str and float as type conversion functions. Int used to convert any value to integer type, str converts to string type, and float converts to floating type. Okay. Our next function is input. We know input is the most commonly used method to input value to a program, and input function enables us to input string without evaluating its value. Okay, it helps us to input a value in the form of a string and which does not evaluate its value, meaning it will be taken as a string itself. Then it continues to read text until it encounters a new line. We can input value to a program using this input function, and it continues to accept value until it encounters a new line. And we have an example here. Name equal to input of enter a number. Using input function we can enter a name. A name can be inputted to the program, and of course by default it's a string and which does not evaluate its value. At present we have a string. We are going to input a string, and that will be stored in name. Then print welcome name. For example, Akshaya. We have a value Akshaya in name, and welcome Akshaya to programming will be printed. Okay, you know the use of plus. Then we have one more example. It's for finding selling price of an item. Cost price equal to int of input of enter number. You know, along with input we have applied int. We have already seen the working of int. Int is a typecasting function which converts the inputted string, because input takes value in the form of a string. Input string will be converted to an integer type, because cost price must have an integer value. The same way profit, we initializing profit also, we apply in function, typecasting it to integer type to profit. Then selling price equal to cost price for profit. Then we are printing it out. Selling price. Okay, the value will be printed. Okay, so input function. That is the most commonly used function for inputting value to a program, and it allows us to input string that does not evaluate to any other type, which will be taken as a string. Then it continues to read characters or text from the user until it encounters a new line. And we have seen two examples of input function implementation. Now we have another function, eval. You know the working of eval also. Eval is used to evaluate. Input is used to input, and eval is used to evaluate. Input function does not evaluate. That is why we have another function, eval. Eval is used to evaluate. Evaluates to another type. You know, by default Python accept values in the form of a string, and sometimes we have to evaluate it to some other type like integer type or floating point type. At the time you have to use eval function. Okay, so eval function evaluates value of a string. Evaluates value of a string to other type. Takes string, evaluates to number, either to integer type or floating point type based on the case. If argument is not a string, what happens? Error. If the argument to eval function is not a string, it results in error. We have an example, x equal to eval of 45 plus 10. We know 45 plus 10 in quotes, okay, single quotes. So it will be treated as a string, and print x will be the result. We have applied the function eval, and eval, here is an expression, evaluates the expression 45 plus 10. That is 45 plus 10 is a string which will be evaluated to what? Integer type. That is, the result will be 55. Okay, so these are the functions, input and eval. Input takes string, input string, does not evaluate to any type, then continues to read until it encounters a new line, and eval is used to evaluate the input string to another type. It can be a string, it can be an integer or a floating point based on the case. Then if no the argument pass is not a string, it results in error. Okay, we have seen one example also. Next we have min and max function. We know min and max returns minimum and maximum, smallest and largest among a set of values. We can look at min first. Min function takes two or more arguments and returns the smallest among a set of values. Okay, here we have some examples, some statements. Min of 23,1 minus 105, 5, 2. We know the min is the minimum, the smallest one is minus 105. And for the second statement, min of 72604. The minimum is 0, of course. Then we have another one, y equal to min of, we have a set of strings. Hello, how are you, sir? We have set of strings and we are finding the minimum, the smallest. And okay, we are printing it out. Print minimum value y. What should be printed? What is the minimum value here? What is the smallest string here? It is sir. Okay. It is sir. Why? Actually, how min function works on strings or string? Of course, it's based on its ASCII value. Here the min ASCII is for capital letter S. We know the ASCII. For what capital letter A, it is 65, and for small a it is 97, and for this one it's of course 97, and S, this S ASCII is 83. Okay, so the smallest number, the smallest string here in this set is sir. Okay, then we have function max. We know max function also takes 2 or more arguments and return the largest. We have two statements here, max of 9, 12, 6, 15. The max, the largest one is 15. Then max of 59, 80, 95.6, 95.2. And the max, the largest is 95.6. We know we can apply min and max for all type of data. Okay. Then let's apply this statement for max. Y equal to max of hello, how are you, sir? What will be the result? What will be the largest? H-H-A-U-S. It is of course U, because Y is having the largest, the highest ASCII value. So this is how min and max works. Min and max are functions which returns minimum and maximum, smallest and largest. And we have seen number of examples, and for strings it work on based on ASCII value. Then we have ABS function. ABS stands for absolute value. Actually ABS function returns absolute value of a single number. Absolute value of a single number, and it works on integer and floating point, and returns the positive value. Absolute value means positive value. And we are applying it for minus 50. ABS of minus 50. The result is 50. It returns the positive value. And ABS of 45. It's of course 45. The positive. Then ABS of minus 30.6. It returns 30.6. So ABS is for absolute. ABS function returns absolute value of a single number. It works on a floating point or integer value and returns the positive value. Okay. Then we have type. We have applied the function type in our +1 class. And what is a type? Type stands for data type. Type is an inbuilt function here in Python which returns a type. If you would like to determine the type of a variable, type of a variable means what type of value does it hold? Does it store? That is what type function returns. And okay, we have some statements here. Type of 10. We know 10 is an integer, so result will be class int. It will be in quotes. Then type of 22 by 7. We know it's in quotes, so it's a string. So class str. Str stands for string. Then we have type of minus 18.6. 18.6 is, even though it is positive or negative, it's a floating point one, so it belongs to class float. Then we can apply, okay, for boolean also. Class what type true. Class it's boolean. We know true and false are the values in boolean. Like type false, class boolean. But the specialty is T and F of true and false must be in caps, capital letter. Okay, T must be in capital letter and F also must be in capital. Otherwise it shows error. Okay. Then type of A greater than 5. You know its comparison. It belongs to boolean. Class bool. Bool stands for boolean. str stands for string. And we can apply in some other format, some other way. X equal to 10. Type of X. Class int. First we are storing value 10 in X. Then we are applying what X in type. We are passing X as a parameter to type, argument to type, and it returns what class int. So these are the functions min and max, abs and type. Type is a function which returns that data type or the type of a variable. What type of value does it hold? It can be integer, floating, boolean, string, or any type. Okay. So here we have seen two methods of, one is directly passing the value, second is passing the variable other than passing the value. Okay.